Hey y'all, it's me. I know y'all like, what is this crazy girl doing? Yes, I'm not at home. Yes, I'm at the airport. But I didn't want to miss live today. I'm not going to be on that long today because I don't think they are very happy about the no mask thing. And I'm not about to be speaking through a mask. But I'm away from everybody, so don't worry about it. But I did want to come on and talk today about um, this identity stuff. And I just really got some really good nuggets for you guys. So come on in the room, come on and share. I'm going to try to share and make sure I share it to my page. Let's see. If you guys want to come say hi to me, so I know you're here, and I'm not gonna be here for that long. I really am not. I'm gonna say some good stuff, and we're gonna be done. But I think it's important. So let me. Let me just share it. You guys share too, please. Okay. So I shared it. So I hope you guys will share as well. And I don't really know if anybody's on right now, but I'm going to just I'm gonna start now just because I don't want to hold up too much longer. So you guys know we're still doing the identity series, and I was super excited when I realized by accident that my anniversary was Easter actually, but it wasn't last year. It was April 4th. And it just happened to fall on Easter this year. And so I think it's not an accident that happened because literally so much of what I started talking about was identity related. And what I was going through at that time was so much identity stuff that I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I called it trying to find my passion, trying to find my purpose, trying to figure out why I'm here, um, adding value, trying to be whole, and really understanding that it really comes down to this thing, identity. So it's so befitting that this is the anniversary of me really figuring out mine and starting my journey fully. Um, and when I say starting my journey fully, it's sometimes when we really honestly believe that we are doing a thing and we're not really fully in the process. I was talking to some people yesterday in my group, and a group of women that we speak with, and the conversation got really interesting. And one of the things I was talking about was we have to get to the point where we start detoxing um, the idea, or we have to start shedding the idea of wanting to be more whole than actually being whole. I'm going to say that again. We want to look whole, we want to appear whole, we want to be whole, but we're not actually all the way in the work. It's almost like, you know how it is when let's say you don't feel like going to school. If you go and you just show up, you're not really present, and you're rushing through things, and you're not going to probably do really that well. You're not going to be engaging because you really weren't there for the learning process. You didn't get everything you can get out of the learning process because you were speeding it along. You wanted to be done with it. And so uh, that's so important to realize that we do that in our lives regularly, where we speed up and we want to be done with this thing that hurts, that's not comfortable, because we rather be, past it, and we don't realize, or we rather just get through to the end. And you heard the term means to an end. Like, it's just, we're not actually on the journey. We're not actually being processed. We are just trying to hurry up through it, and you miss some important things when you don't really absorb the information, when you don't really take the steps and really take the time to hash it out. It's almost like therapy. You don't um, physical therapy, regular therapy, it's not efficient if you do it one time or two times and say, oh, okay, well, I think I know what I'm doing. It's because it's supposed to be continuous. There are layers that's supposed to be peeled back, and there are going to be some things that's revealed in portions that you do it in. And so it's super important that we don't peel back the first layer and think we're done, or we peel back the first layer and we literally opt out because we think, oh, well, I've done some work and so we're done. The real work is in the endurance. The real work is saying, you know what, it's not comfortable, it's not fun. um, I don't feel like I should have to do this, but I know I need to do it. And it's almost like the same thing of nobody wants to go in to get like a tooth extracted, or no one wants to go into the dentist to have what's those things called? The really painful things in the back. I can't think, the nerve thing, root canal. Nobody really wants to have that type of stuff happen to them. But what I've learned is that the pain that you suffer before it is so, it makes it so necessary that you have to go. And then once you go, even though it's not comfortable, even though you might be scared, afterward, the relief that you get, the wholeness that you achieve from going through this painful thing and allowing the thing to happen and not rushing it through, literally is the thing that builds character. It's literally the thing that is what whole looks like, is when you allow the process to actually really work. Um, you could ask any therapist, if you go to therapy and shut down and just want to sit there and just say, well, I'm here, nothing's going to happen. It's, you only get out of it what you put into it. And so it's same thing with physical therapy. If you just go because they mandate you to go, you are going to not be fully functioning. You're not going to have full um, pace, full like what am I? Oh, you see my hand? Okay, full like. Why can I keep my hand in view? You're not going to have full turn and full movement of your hand or your leg or whatever's hurt if you don't go and you fully commit to what you're doing into the process. So, um, what are we talking about when we talk about detox? Detox. What identity? Of course, it sounds like it's a one singular thing, right? It's an individual thing, right? It doesn't involve other people. It's not for it's not for other people. It's not like a participant sport. This is for you to do. And it is true. It is only for you to do. Maybe you can get some assistance, but you still have to do the work, right? Well, in saying that, one thing, the first thing that you have to do on this journey, and just like, if you start any workout program, if you start any health wellness thing, first thing they tell you is do a detox, because you do not realize what you're carrying. You do not realize the stuff that you've been doing. You do not realize the toxins that's inside of you. And so it's so important to get the detox done so you can remove those things. And then when we're talking about identity, it's the same thing. Your identity is a singular thing. Remember, when we talked about the core? It's a singular thing that has nothing to do with anybody else. So, what happens though is through our environments, we absorb identity stuff. There's residual from multiple places, and we really have to get clear about what our own identity is. But before we can get clear about it, we have to realize what it's not. I think I said something yesterday. You're never going to know what you are until you really realize what you're not. And that's a good place to start. And that's why we detox, to get the stuff out that's not like you. Now, when you're detoxing, it's not bad, right? Everything is not bad. And when I say everything's not bad, I get so give you an example. If I'm on keto, okay, the ketogenic diet is supposed to be about low carbs, right? And if it's about low carbs, the thing that's important for you to realize is that you can't have sugar, and so like any type of sugar, even if you think it's good sugar. So like I can't have a banana. Well, what's important to know about that is the banana um, has 26 grams of carbs in it. So somebody can argue all night today with me and say, "Oh, bananas are good for you. Have a banana." I understand that. I'm not saying bananas are bad, but if I am on a particular regimen, I understand that I can't have it right now. It's restricted, and so it's not that it's bad. It just means I can't have it right now. I hope you're getting that part. I hope you're understanding that Just because you have to detox some things from your identity structure doesn't mean it was bad. It just means it's not you. Okay? And I really wanted to drive that home because I need you to really get that part, that you're going to start detoxing from some stuff. And you said, Paris, what stuff? How do I know what I need to detox from? Well, I'll help you out. One of the biggest parts of your um, identity is your moral compass, your belief system, your values. All of that is very super important, and it's a big part of what your identity is. And so, where do you get that from? Well, you get it from family. You get that from your friends, your peer groups. You get that from your work environment. You get that from, if you are a person that is a faith based, you get that from your infrastructure in your faith community. You get that from social circles, and you get it from society, right? And you say, well, how do I get it from society? Well, there are societal norms, and so there are things that we think we should do, things we should be like. These are their gender norms. There are cultural norms. There are um, age norms. Like if you're a certain age, they expect you to be here or do certain things already. And so um, you have to understand what those things are and how you might have unknowingly adapted those things because you you kind of felt like you had to. And most times we all do. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just to understand those things are things that you adapted to, but doesn't mean that you really believe it yourself. Or if you think you believe it, it's time to write that down and let's start to really investigate that. Hey, mom. And so it's really important to start to flesh these things out. Remember, I said a journal is a really good way to start. Start writing down. If you don't know what you are, start writing down what you're not. So I'll give you an example. I believe in God. I'm not an atheist. So first thing I'm gonna write down is I definitely know you know I know I'm not a atheist. I know I'm not somebody that doesn't believe that my life is guided by faith. So that's my part of my thing. But if you are different, maybe your life doesn't look like that. Maybe you like maybe I don't believe in God, and then write that down. The reason why that's important is because if you don't know what you believe in, at least you'll know what you don't, and you can start to flesh those things out. Maybe some of these things that you think you believe in, or the things you don't think you believe in, are residual of your environment. And mind you, didn't I say that change is the only thing that's constant? So we're always going to change and move environments and go forward. So in doing that, you have to realize that you're not going to be in the same place you were 20 years ago. You're not going to be the same place you were 10 years ago. And therefore, you shouldn't have the same mindset. Um, I love when people want to say, well, you changed. And first thing I say is, you're right. I did. Absolutely changed. Absolutely did. And actually, I'm actually happy to know that you notice I changed. And actually, I hope that you can see your own change. Hey, Jeanette. And so I really think that's one of the first things we have to do is get really super clear of what do we really own. Um, Here's another example. Okay, I always use myself as an example, so just hang with me unless y'all have some examples. Um, when my son was growing up, I wanted to teach him to eat a lot of different things. So I made sure he had a lot of fruits and vegetables and water, and that he was going to be like, no, I don't like those things. So I was very intentional about that. Well, in that, he ate everything. He used to eat salads. He started eating sushi when he was 6 years old. One of the funny things is that when he went to school, he came back home like after the first couple weeks and then told me, I no longer eat tomatoes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You've been eating tomatoes for 6 years. What do you mean? I don't eat tomatoes. And I didn't understand it. Like, what all of a sudden? And then I realized what it was. Kids, part of their identity was, I want to stand out. So I'm going to say, I don't eat this. I don't like that. And so he adapted. He wanted to be different. And I wasn't even mad at it. I was the first little surprised at it, but I understood after a while. And I said, oh, okay. So he wanted to have his own thing, right? He didn't want to be like everybody else. He wanted to have something that was different. And so it's funny because later on we talked about it, and I remember he saw something where we put tomatoes and onions on it, and for years he said, I don't eat tomatoes and onions. And so I said, try it again. You used to like it. He said, I'm sure I don't like it. I said, Makai, just try it again. Your palate matures, you change, and you don't even really know why you didn't like it. And so I convinced him to try it again, and guess what? He loved it. He's back eating it. And that's just an example of us not realizing why we picked something up or why we put something down. And it could be that your palate's changed. It could be that your palate changed, and that's okay. That's okay. Um, it's good. It's growth, and so this part of the process is challenge everything. Challenge everything. A detox, let me tell you, when you do so like when you have a child and you're introducing foods into their body, the first thing they tell you is to go very bland and do one food group at a time. Do not introduce too much too fast. And you're supposed to be, as a parent, I didn't understand why they used to say that, but I understand as a parent you're supposed to be observing to understand what they can handle, what they can't, how they're reacting to it, what it does to it. When you integrate that, is it changing something? And if so, let's not have this in your diet. That's the reason why you introduce things a little bit at a time. So that's the same thing that we're doing. We just move so fast. We all want to do everything, and we're not self-aware enough to understand why we're even doing the things we're doing. So what this is called the deconstruction of identity. I said detoxing, but also deconstruction. That's another word. Is that you are taking part, like how like they take a whole car apart and put it back together. That's what you're essentially doing. You're taking part your identity and what you believe that you represented and who you thought you were. And even if you still think you're that, you're gonna take and have the pieces laid out in front of you, and then pick it back up and realize, oh, this was the wrong piece. I should have never had this piece on here. Or, oh, I'm missing a piece. This is the piece I do need. And so it's going to help you get clarity by being able to destruct it. Hey, Mama Pat, it's really going to give you clarity by being able to articulate and see everything. Sometimes we're so put together that I didn't even expect to say that. That's so good. Y'all know I do that to myself. I didn't. Sometimes we're so put together, tightly glued together. We look like we're put all together, and we want to present as such. And maybe we thought we were, but we don't allow ourselves to be taken apart. Because one thing you should learn, and one thing I learned with engineering is if you have something that's built well, when you take it apart and put it back together with good instructions, it's going to be just as good, if not better, than when you took it apart. The only time that people are worried about taking something apart is when it was rigged. It was not really it wasn't really put together well. It was not the foundation was not good. It was shaky, because what's going to be revealed is that, oh wow, they took some shortcuts. Oh wow, they didn't enforce areas they need to enforce. Oh wow, um, this is not as sturdy as it looks. On the outside it looks good, but on the inside it's not. That's why I don't like some of the luxury cars. Like, I mean, listen, no, I hope this nobody comes try to sue me, but some luxury cars, I'll just say it like that, are known for the looking good, but if you go to a mechanic, they'll tell you, oh, it's a horrible car to have to maintain. It's going to be so expensive. It breaks down regularly. And so it's going to cost you more of a headache than it's worth. And so that's what we have to be careful of. We have to be careful of looking good on the outside and being broke down on the inside, because we're scared to take it apart, because we, on some level, I think we subconsciously know it might not be as solid as we say it is. Okay? It might not be as solid as we say it is. So that's what this process is: deconstruction, detoxing, and everybody has to start this off with a journal and just being real. Whether if you pray, get some soaking music, which is just worship music. Get some soaking music and get really quiet. Quiet those thoughts in your head. Take out a journal, some time. to yourself and get really quiet and start to think about who you are. Or, like I said, if you don't even know what to say who you are, who you're not. And write down your belief system. That is one of the first things we're going to do. Your belief system. And again, the ways that the environmental things we're detoxing off is gender norms, societal norms, um, uh, sometimes your faith, community norms, or sometimes your cultural norms. Um, like one of the things we talk about a lot is the mental health stigma. And in certain communities, is really, you don't say that you're having issues. You can't say it. You look down on to say that you're having a problem, and that's a cultural norm that is a really toxic one. And we have to be really careful that we're not taking that and putting that on us. That's one of those things you should detox off. I no longer want to be Superman. I no longer want to pretend like I have it all together. I can't afford to pretend like I have it all together. That's not going to be good for me. It's time out for looking whole and not being whole. It's time out for that. It's time to be courageous enough to do the work. It's time to be honest about we don't have it all together. Like, I hate the superwoman, superman complex that we all have to have it together all the time, and we all are good, and everything has to be okay. And when you meet, when you sometimes you walk up to people and they say, "How you doing?" "I'm great," and you see through their smile, and you can tell they're crumbling on the inside, but they're not vulnerable enough to be able to be honest and say, "I'm not doing so well, but I'm working on it. I'm praying about it. I'm working on it." Or either be feeling like they have enough um, strength to work on and seek help, right? Um, Sometimes you walk up to people and they want to say, "I'm blessed and highly favored," and you're sitting here like, "But are you?" And they go out and they, break down because they literally don't know how they're going to have their next meal. They don't know where they're going to sleep. It becomes a thing, and so I really want us to get clear about not looking like we're okay, not not wanting to be okay so much that we don't go and work on the process of being okay, doing the work to be okay. Um, and so one of the things I said is if you're a person of faith, then pray, meditate, get quiet. But if you don't, if you're not a person of faith, you can still meditate. Okay, I really believe in getting quiet, quieting those thoughts down, quieting your mind down, quiet the environment down, so that you can have a moment of clarity to be able to think and pull some stuff out and pull some things apart. So that is, I think that's where I want to stop today. Jeanette, you said the more God is revealing and healing, the more I realize I don't have it all together. And you know what? I love that you said that, because I believe that it is important for us to be able to say I don't have it all together, and that's okay. Man, where did we get to a point? I don't know. Was 30 the age? Was 25 the age that you had to have it all together? Why you got people out here that killing themselves to seem like they're okay, to seem like they have it together, to seem like they're all right, and they're literally not. And I understand, speak things into existence. I understand the way that you speak and what you believe, and your systems can shift. I believe all of that. But I believe that until you get real about a thing and speak a thing as it is, and then say, "I'm not okay, but I will be okay." That's the power in it. That's the power, because you first have to admit it in order so you can process it and release it. And then you can go for it and heal it. But to keep on just going over a thing and pretending like it's okay, it's like putting a band-aid over a big wound. I say it all the time. You can't have a big gunshot wound from a big, shotgun and put a band-aid on it, or even a t-shirt on it, and think you're going to be okay and not bleed out. Hey, Alicia girl, how you doing? You can't do that. It's time out for us not um, just wanting to be okay and not really doing the detox. So I'm going to reiterate the detox part again. If you're just coming in on what that means, is again, there are gender norms, there are cultural norms, there are societal norms, there is norms in your faith system, there are norms in your work environment or if you're entrepreneur, or if your career choices, there are things that are expected. There's things that expect in your family, in your friend circle, in your social groups. All of them have um, unspoken things that are expected and expectations. So we just have to shed that stuff. And again, I'm not saying that um, I'm not saying that any of it's bad. Please hear me, because I don't want y'all going back and saying what Paris said, that my friends, some part that what they think is part of me and has made me bad. No, I didn't say that. Or Paris didn't say that your church had any, or your faith system, or whatever, being a woman or being a man, and those things were bad. I didn't say any of those things. But what I did say is, don't adapt something because it's just what you think you're supposed to do. Know what you're saying yes to. Know why you believe it. It doesn't matter what you believe if you don't know why you believe it. It's important. So you have to be willing to dissect those things. Even if you finish the process and say, "Oh wow, I dissected it and I really know I believe this," then that's great. Then you put that back on you. That is part of your identity. You put that back on you. I'll give you an example. When I went to college, first time I was away from my parents, I went to a seminar where the guy was talking about science versus faith, and I didn't know where it was going to go, and I was just like, I've been at the church all my life, but I don't even know what I believe this because I've been in church and I think I know why I believe it, but I just wanted to know if it's really what I believed. And the good part about it was I went, and it was basically a link to why science does prove my faith. And it was so refreshing because it just solidified what I already knew I believed, but I had to actually take it off. I took off that piece to find out and be sure if that's what I really believed. And sometimes people say, well, don't you ever do that? And I don't believe that. I believe that you have to know for yourself. You know, you know how they say, oh, you can't go to heaven on your mama's faith or your daddy's faith. It is true. Or your grandmama's faith. Same thing. You can't go unless you really believe. So you might as well examine it and make sure you believe what you say you believe. I'm just saying, if you're vegan, you got to really be able to stand on why are you vegan? Why do you do this? You work out all the time. Why do you feel you need to do this? You got to know why you're doing it. If you don't know, take it off, evaluate it, and then if it still belongs, put it back on. And no harm, no foul. It should be solidified. But if you're doing something you don't know why you're doing it, then oftentimes those are false identities. Those are things that you just adapted to. And so it's time to figure out who you are, why you believe what you believe, and get strong in it. And at some point, you should be able to have a mission statement about your belief system. That's the first part of this, okay? First part of your identity. All right, y'all. My battery gonna go down in a minute, and I'm at the airport. I told y'all this is gonna be short, but I just did not want to. I had these jewel gems I really wanted to share. And like I said, this being my anniversary, 1 year anniversary, I just have all these reflections of what my process was, and I'll share more of it each time I talk because you have to get clear about who you are in order for you to really make the progress you want. So I love you all. It's Thursday, so you know what I'm going to say. You are enough. I got my Embrace the Peculiar shirt on today because I'm peculiar and I embrace it, baby. That's why people look at me crazy while I'm in the airport and doing this doing this live. They looking like, oh my God, what's she doing? I am safe away from everybody, so I'm not around anybody. I'm gonna put my mask on in a minute and get through TSA. But I just wanted to come on and definitely share. But you guys, you know what I'm saying? You are enough, and you're enough to start this process. Do the work. Do the detox. It's time out for us believing it's somebody else. I believe every single person has identity work to do. I'm still doing identity work. As long as you're alive and breathing, you better get clear about your identity. And just like when you're working out and doing well, after a while, even if you've been working out and eating well for 10 years, guess what? They do regular detoxes. Guess what? So we're going to be doing identity detoxes. Come on, guys. This is what we're going to do. You are enough to put the work in. You know what I'm saying? You are. You're worth what's on the other side of this. You're worth the wholeness you're going to see in the mirror when you get on the other side of this. It's going to be amazing. So I love you guys. You know what I say? The weekend's coming up. Do something nice for yourself. You know how I feel about self-care. Even if you can't spend any money, make you a good meal. I don't know, read a book you've been trying to read. Take a bath. Light that candle that you bought that was $10 from Bath Bath Work Bath Works. I don't know what. See, Bath and Body Works. Jesus, I couldn't even think of that. Whatever. Do something nice for yourself. Guys, I'm gonna relax this weekend, y'all. I've been humping and I'm really relaxed and I'm excited about it. But I love you all. We're gonna finish this work. Get this work done. This is the part one, the detox, the identity detox. Get a journal, start writing it down. Start writing it down. What do I believe? And get clear about that. And what I think I'm gonna do next week, I think it's gonna be exciting. I think I'm gonna pull some people and see who wants to talk about that first part and them going through the process of what they really believe. So get ready, y'all. Get ready. If anybody's interested into coming online with me and talking about doing some of this identity work, then I'm up for it. Hit my inbox or send me a message and we'll work it out. Okay. I love you guys. See you later. Have a good weekend. All right. Bye.